In the dusty corners of the internet, a new mystery has emerged. It started with a single forum post titled Paman Kancil's Funhouse, the show that never was. For those unfamiliar, Paman Kancil was supposedly a short-lived 1980s children's program that aired in the dead of night on a local Indonesian station. But here is the catch. There are no official records of it ever existing in any broadcast archive. Last month, an anonymous user uploaded a digitized VHS tape simply labeled Tuyul Berebut, or The Scuffle of the Tuyuls. At first glance, it looks like a standard, low-budget puppet show meant for toddlers. But as you watch closer, the nostalgic warmth begins to curdle into something far more sinister. Tonight, we are peeling back the layers of this digital nightmare to find out what these tapes are really trying to tell us.
The footage begins with Paman Kancil, a man in a poorly fitted deer mask, singing a song about sharing toys. The audio is warped, pitched down so low it sounds like a funeral dirge. The colors are oversaturated, typical of the magnetic tape degradation seen in old home movies. But it's the background that catches your eye. Behind the puppets, the shadows seem to move independently of the light source. There are small pale figures crouching in the corners of the set, barely visible, but unmistakably there. These are the Tuyuls. In local folklore, Tuyuls are spirits of unborn children, often kept by the greedy to steal money. But in this show, they aren't stealing money, they are fighting over something much more visceral. The Tuyul Berebut segment starts with a jarring jump cut, showing 3 of these figures tearing at a pile of raw, unidentifiable meat. Analysis of the Tuyul Berebut reveals a series of subliminal messages hidden within the frames of the static. If you slow the footage down to 0.1 speed, the screen flickers with rapid-fire images. These aren't just random glitches. They are photos of real missing persons from the mid-80s, layered underneath the cartoonish animation. Between these horrific flashes, strings of numbers appear in the bottom right corner, coordinates. At first, the community thought they were just random digits meant to add to the spooky vibe of the ARG, but when mapped out, they point to a series of abandoned wells in the remote forests of West Java. The realization hit the investigators like a physical blow. The game wasn't just on the screen. It was pointing to real physical locations that hadn't been visited in decades. What were we supposed to find at those coordinates? As the investigation deepened, more tapes surfaced. Each one featured a different game played by the Tuyuls. In one tape, they are playing hide-and-seek in a room that looks suspiciously like a real hospital basement. The camera work is frantic, handheld, breaking the fourth wall of the traditional multi-cam sitcom setup. The audio isn't music anymore. It's a high-frequency whine that many viewers reported caused nausea and headaches. This is a classic psychological technique used in horror ARGs, but there was something different here. A hidden audio track, when reversed, reveals a voice whispering, "The one who watches becomes the vessel." It was a warning that went unheeded by the lead investigator, a YouTuber known as Null_Sector. He decided to visit the first set of coordinates, live streaming the entire journey. That was the last time anyone saw him active on his channel.
The community went into a frenzy. Null_Sector's last stream ended abruptly when he reached an old stone well overgrown with vines. He didn't scream. He didn't run. He just looked into the camera, his eyes completely dilated, and said, "They are finally sharing." After he went dark, the original Paman Kancil website updated for the first time in years. The homepage was replaced with a live feed of a darkened room. In the center of the room was a CRT television playing the Tuyul Berebut episode on a loop. But something had changed in the video. One of the puppets was now wearing Null_Sector's signature jacket. This is where the line between fiction and reality began to blur beyond recognition. Was this a masterfully crafted marketing stunt? Or was this ARG documenting a series of ritualistic disappearances tied to an old broadcast curse? The most disturbing part of the Paman Kancil tapes is the instructional episode. In this tape, the deer-masked host stops his singing and walks directly toward the lens until his mask fills the entire frame. He begins to explain the ritual of Tuyul Berebut. He says that for the spirits to remain fed, they must be given a viewer. He explains that the subliminal coordinates weren't just locations for the curious to visit, they were invitations for a sacrifice. Every person who viewed the tape and followed the trail was unknowingly participating in a decades-old ritual designed to bring these entities into our reality. The hidden coordinates were changing in real time, appearing on people's screens based on their own IP addresses. The game was no longer about a fictional 1980s show. The game was about you, the viewer, and how much you were willing to see.
We managed to get a hold of a technician who worked at the station rumored to have aired the show. He spoke to us under the condition of anonymity. He claimed that the tapes were never meant to be broadcast. They were found footage that the station owner had discovered in a box left at the gates. When they tried to play the tapes, the equipment would malfunction, and staff would report seeing small, bald children running through the hallways. The station burned down in 1989 under mysterious circumstances, and the tapes were thought to be lost in the fire. If that is true, then where did these digital uploads come from? Who has been holding on to these cursed recordings for 30 years, and why choose now to release them to a global audience? The technician believes the tapes are alive, evolving with the technology they inhabit.
As we reach the climax of this investigation, we have to look at the final episode leak. This video is only 10 seconds long. It shows the interior of a well looking up at the sky. A circle of small, pale heads looks down into the darkness. They aren't fighting anymore. They are waiting. The audio is a chorus of wet, tearing sounds, followed by the familiar, warped Paman Kancil theme song. This brings us to the plot twist that has paralyzed the ARG community. The coordinates found in this final leak don't lead to a forest or a well. They lead to the headquarters of the very company that hosted the video files. The Tuyul isn't a story about the past. It's a mechanism for the present. The lost show was never lost. It was waiting for the internet to be invented so it could find more sharers.
There is one final detail that many missed. In the background of every Paman Kancil episode, there is a clock on the wall. The hands never move, but the time is always 3:33. However, if you look at the time on your own device while watching these videos, you might notice something strange. Some users have reported their system clocks freezing or jumping to 3:33 exactly when the Tuyul appear on screen. It is a terrifying realization. The ARG might be using more than just visual subliminals. It might be interacting with your hardware. If you've been following this story, check your recent files. Look for a folder you didn't create, labeled Funhouse. Inside, you might find the coordinates meant for you. The ritual doesn't end when the video stops. It only begins once the screen goes black.
The story of Paman Kancil and the Tuyul Berabut reminds us that some things are better left buried in the static of the past. Whether this is the most elaborate ARG ever created or something truly malevolent, the impact is the same. It makes us question the safety of our screens and the secrets hidden in the media we consume. Be careful what you search for, and be even more careful what you choose to watch until the end. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the darker side of the web, don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on this case and others. We will be monitoring the Funhouse servers for any new activity. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and keep an eye on your shadows. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates.